In a world that's always buzzing and humming, noise-canceling headphones feel like an absolute superpower, don't they? It's like you can hit a mute button on the world and create your own little bubble of peace. But what if that perfect, blissful silence has a hidden cost? Let's dive in and find out what's really going on with our ears, and maybe more importantly, with our brains.
So, first things first, just a quick question for you. Think about your average day. The commute, the office, the gym. How many hours are you actually plugged in? Seriously, take a second. That number, whatever it is kind of the key to this whole conversation.
All right, so how do these things actually work their magic? Before we jump into the risks, we gotta understand the tech. And it's pretty fascinating because there are two totally different ways they pull off this silent trick.
At its heart, it all boils down to this: passive versus active. Think of it this way. One is like building a physical wall against sound. The other is straight up science fiction. It's about fighting sound with more sound.
So let's start with passive. This is the simple, old-school method. It's basically soundproofing for your head. The headphones just use materials like really dense foam in the ear cups to create a barrier that physically stops sound waves from getting to your ear. It works great for blocking out those sharp, high-frequency sounds like chatter or a siren in the distance.
And it's probably pretty obvious, but with this kind of blocking, the fit is everything. I mean everything. Those big over-ear headphones that give you a really nice tight seal, they're going to be your best bet, by far. In-ear ones are pretty decent too, but those on-ear headphones that just sort of rest on your ears, they let sound leak in all over the place. The seal is what really matters here.
And then we get to the really cool part: active noise cancellation, or ANC. This is where it gets wild. Your headphones have these tiny microphones on the outside, and they're constantly listening to the low, droning noises around you, like the hum of a train or an airplane engine. Then, a tiny computer chip inside creates a sound wave that is the exact opposite of that noise. It's a mirror image, and when those two sound waves meet, poof, they completely cancel each other out. It is incredible.
That manufactured silence is amazing, but let's be honest, it can also feel a little weird, right? A little unnatural. And it turns out our bodies, especially our ears, sometimes have a strange way of, well, protesting it. This quote from an otolaryngologist, Dr. Tian Huiji, really hits the nail on the head. Even though you're hearing silence, your inner ear is actually working super hard. It's constantly adjusting. He compares it to a muscle being held in a constant state of tension. And just like any other muscle, if you keep it tense for too long, it's going to get tired and can even get injured.
And look, this isn't just a theory. This happens to real people. Take this story about a 28-year-old guy who was studying for some big exams. To focus, he basically lived in his noise-canceling headphones all day, every day. And what happened? He ended up with this constant, annoying pressure in his ears. He started getting dizzy, and he developed tinnitus, that ringing sound that was so bad it was messing up his sleep.
So let's break down why this stuff happens, because it's pretty interesting. That weird ear pressure, that's your brain getting tricked. It's so used to constant low-frequency noise that when it suddenly vanishes, your brain thinks, whoa, the air pressure must have just changed. Kind of like taking off in an airplane. And the tinnitus? Well, a lot of us have a super faint underlying ringing that we never even notice. But in that artificial quiet, suddenly it's the only thing you can hear. As for the dizziness, your inner ear also controls your sense of balance. When it's working overtime, it can get fatigued and throw everything off.
Okay, so physical symptoms are one thing, but the most surprising and maybe the most concerning risk here actually has nothing to do with your ears. It's about your brain, and how by creating this perfect silent world for ourselves, we might actually be teaching our brains to forget how to listen.
It's a condition called Auditory Processing Disorder, or APD, and the description is pretty chilling. Imagine this: you go for a hearing test, and the results come back perfect. You can hear a pin drop, but then you go to a crowded restaurant and you can't make sense of anything. You can't separate your friend's voice from all the background chatter. That's the essence of it. You can hear just fine, but you literally can't understand.
And this isn't just a textbook case. It's happening. There's a story about a 25-year-old student named Sophie who used her headphones for about 5 hours a day to deal with city noise. After a while, she noticed that when she took them off in a busy place, like a pub, all the voices just blended into one big, meaningless mush of sound. Her hearing was perfectly normal. Her brain was the one struggling to keep up.
So how does this even happen? Well, think about your brain's ability to filter sound as a muscle. In a normal, noisy world, that muscle is always working, picking out important sounds and ignoring the junk. But when you slip on those headphones, you're basically putting that muscle into a hearing vacuum. It doesn't have to do any work. And you know the old saying, use it or lose it. The brain literally gets out of shape and starts to forget that skill.
And we're not talking about a niche problem. This is massive. The World Health Organization estimates that 1.1 billion young people around the world are at risk of hearing loss because of unsafe listening practices. Now, a lot of that is about volume for sure, but this growing dependence on total silence is a huge part of the concern. We're creating a world where our brains are just less equipped to handle, well, the real world.
Okay, I know that was a lot of heavy stuff, but the goal here isn't to scare you into tossing your headphones in the trash. Absolutely not. This is about being smart and empowered. So, let's talk about the simple, practical things you can do to enjoy that silence safely and protect your hearing for the long run.
First up, the golden rule. And it's so easy to remember. It's the 60-60 rule. First, keep your volume below 60% of the max. And second, for every 60 minutes you're listening, take a break. Take the headphones off for 10 or 15 minutes. Let your ears reconnect with the natural world around you. It's simple, but it's so powerful.
And honestly, the best solution might be a feature that's already built into your headphones. It's usually called transparency mode or ambient mode. Instead of blocking all the sound, it uses those little mics to let some of the outside world in. This is a game changer. It keeps that sound filtering muscle in your brain working, and as a nice little bonus, it makes you a lot safer when you're walking around.
And finally, you have to know the red flags. If you experience any of these symptoms, it's time to talk to a doctor. If you've got ringing in your ears that just doesn't go away, or you're feeling dizzy and unsteady, or, and this is a big one, you suddenly have a hard time understanding what people are saying, don't wait. Getting these things checked out early is absolutely key.
And that brings us right back to the start. I asked you how long you use your headphones every day. So now, after hearing all this, the real question is, looking at your own habits, is there maybe something you need to change to protect your hearing? Not just for tomorrow, but for a lifetime of sound.